Welcome to Friends Talking Nerdy. This is Tim the Nerd, and seated next to me we have a bundled up Professor Aubrey. And this week we're going to be talking about the Material Girl.
That's right. Madonna.
Yeah, over the past couple months or so, we've waxed poetically about Cyndi Lauper so much, I didn't want her to feel left out.
I know. I'm afraid she's going to send us a letter or something.
Yes, dear
Being...
Friends Talking Nerdy.
You have not talked about me in 480 episodes.
We're not quite there yet, but, almost 400, but. But she is a legendary singer and dancer from the state of Michigan. And I think, she would give the same type of answer I would about the best part of Michigan is leaving Michigan, type of deal. And also, too, like another reason why I wanted to bring up this episode here was to have that little dichotomy between her and Cyndi Lauper, because Cyndi Lauper, I think, at the end of the day, her audience was more like the new wave audience, right? And Madonna was dance related from the beginning until today. All things, dance music, EDM. I mean, they're very, very much into.
She was very much a club person doing like music in clubs before she made it as a singer.
Yeah, yeah. But what we wanted to do was one of our patented, for entertainment purposes, playlist episodes. We want to talk about some of our favorite Madonna songs. As always, when we say favorite, they're just our favorite. We're not implying they're the best or that you are wrong if you don't agree with our list here. But how about you, Professor Aubrey, dive into your first choice?
Okay. My first choice is Lucky Star, which people might remember. It's from 1983, so it was on her first album, which I think was just called Madonna. And there are others from that album on my list because it was such a great album. Like, it was such a great first album. It had so many hits on it, and I think reflected her talent and charisma. So Lucky Star is just a happy song. And I think it might have been the first Madonna song I ever heard.
Definitely not mine, but Madonna in this era, I was not the biggest fan of because I felt like her singing voice at the time was a little too higher pitched than what it ultimately became. And also, too, at the end of the day, it's okay for a singer-songwriter to create songs that don't speak to me, right?
Yeah.
So, this was around the era when, she was just getting into the Mexican cartels before she assassinated Weird Al Yankovic, of course. If you go back to that Weird Al Yankovic biopic movie from the Roku channel, and if you haven't seen it, that is one hell of a funny movie.
It's so great, yeah.
Yeah. But again, yeah, it's a song that I think is not necessarily one that today is going to be one that like the casual person may understand. Like, and by casual person, we're talking like young person in their 20s. They're probably going to know more of the anthem songs than this, but you got to start somewhere, right?
Absolutely. And this was a great place to start.
Damn right. All the way in 1983.
Yeah, so I was 9 years old.
Yeah, I was in first grade. Wow.
I think I must have been in 4th grade. And that doesn't sound right, but I think I had to have been in 4th grade.
Yeah, 82, 83 was my kindergarten year. 83, 84 was my first grade year.
So it had to have been my 3rd grade year. Anyway, that is when I started dressing like Madonna. And I wore a lot of neon, a lot of crinolines, tutus, and, I don't remember what I wore as tops, but I had a friend whose mother refused to walk down the mall hallway with me based on how I looked.
In 3rd grade, wow.
In 3rd grade, and she would walk ahead and make me and her daughter, walk together behind her so that people wouldn't think that I was with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
White women, everybody. They're the worst.
White women in the South in particular.
Yeah. Well, all right. I mean, I can't imagine what your clothing bill at that time must have been with your love of both Madonna and Cyndi Lauper.
I know, right? But I didn't have any money because I was 9.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
they were both very sexy. And, that was not okay where I came from.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I would think in Grand Rapids too at that time. Even today, I don't think you're going to go in. I want my 9-year-old to look sexy. What can she wear?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Yeah. Well, anyway, how about I dive into my first choice?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, this one comes from the Ray of Light album from 1998. It is the title track. It debuted at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 list, and which I bring that up too because even in the 90s she was still getting massive numbers to where other comparable artists of her time when she debuted were not necessarily getting those accolades anymore. So like for the people that do want to complain about Madonna, like she has a way to speak to people.
Mm-hmm.
This right here, the video is unique. It's her dancing really fast, blue, and all that stuff. It's kind of like the whole theme of the idea was like a day on Earth as Earth is rushing towards the 21st century.
Ugh.
And, which was mentioned in the research notes that I did too, because she was at the time kind of using this as a way to just talk about her personal philosophies and stuff like that. I think this might have been around the time when she was into Kabbalah or something like that. But she wanted a positive song to put out there. But I remember sort of where I was when I first saw this.
Mm-hmm.
It was during it was mid of the year 2000, and it was the night of the Republican National Convention where Dick Cheney was nominated as the VP pick for the Republicans, and I was high on acid the entire time. And I specifically remember this video being played on loop on MTV for whatever reason, and Madonna's just like flailing about in the entire video, and when you're on acid, you're like, whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, that definitely has to have colored your experience of that.
In more ways than one. But it didn't do it like Peter Griffin, though.
No.
No, because this song was featured and spoofed on Family Guy when Peter Griffin was introduced to Red Bull. Like he was talking about being tired and whatnot, and the bartender says, "Here, have a Red Bull," and he drank it, and then Peter starts singing, "And I feel," and just like the
like a da, da, da,
yeah,
I feel.
yeah, dancing like that because he got so excited with Red Bull. But then they had a little subplot later in the show to where after he had introduced Red Bull to his son Chris, Peter decided, hey, what's the best thing to do when you drink a lot of Red Bull? Milk a cow. So he starts milking a cow, but going really, really fast, and then the cow's udders burst into flames, and then the cow just runs back and forth, moo, moo. And then you see Peter's son, Chris, come with his crotch on fire, going, because he was masturbating while on Red Bull.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, but overall,
pretty good.
Overall, like, I mean, Madonna for me will always be in my greatest hits category of artists that I enjoy. I don't think there's really like an album that I could listen to from first to last to really get enjoyment, and that's okay. But like, this is just one hell of a great song.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep. Well, if you don't have any other thoughts, how about you dive into your next choice?
Okay, my next choice is La Isla Bonita, the pretty island. And one of the reasons that I really like this song is because there's a really good cover of it that I've heard that makes me appreciate it as a potentially slower song than it was when originally recorded. But I just like when I was a kid, that sort of feeling, because this was in 86, right? So now I'm 12, and I can appreciate a little more subtlety, maybe.
Mm.
And this one was just very evocative of being near the ocean, the beach, and having perhaps some heartbreak with a local Lothario. Yeah, so it's off True Blue from 1986.
If I believe that, yeah, this is the first Madonna video I ever saw.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, wasn't impressed at the time. Again, it was the vocals, and again, just again, she was not making a song for thinking of me. I was not in the audience that she was trying to make music for at that particular time. So, yeah, didn't impress me. I was not thinking of a Lothario or a Lotharia to be on a beach with.
Yeah. Well, different strokes, different folks.
Yeah.
Let's hear about your next one.
All right, my next one came from her album Music in the year 2000. It is the title track, and the song apparently was inspired by a Sting concert she attended.
Oh.
Apparently, it was a theater show, like one of those theaters that seats like maybe 5,000 or something like that she went to, and throughout the show, Sting was playing, and the audience for the most part was, just sitting there enjoying it, but sitting there.
Uh-huh.
But then near the end of the show, Sting started playing some songs from the Police. And then the audience just started apparently going nuts in a good way, the way you want an audience to react, like holding hands, singing along,
Uh-huh.
reacting. And
Uh-huh.
music makes the people come together. Yeah, as the lyrics say, it reached number one on Billboard's Top 100, which did tie her with the Supremes for the fifth most number ones on the Hot 100.
Wow.
Yeah, and for the Hot 100, I believe that's the list for your major songs that would be on like MTV or like pop radio.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. And the video introduced Sacha Baron Cohen as
Mm-hmm.
Ali G to the American audience. That
Really?
was his first introduction to America, the American audience at that particular point, because she was all over the world. This was like a couple of years after she did stuff like Evita,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh. She was living in England, which is obviously where Sacha Baron Cohen is from.
mhm,
Or the British Isles is somewhere. I'm not quite sure.
yes. But overall, really solid song. Again, I'm not. I, I'm hesitant really on talking about the different types of dance music that she was inspired by, but in terms of creating these particular songs, because again, I'm not a huge dance music fan, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to wax poetic about a genre of music that I know nothing about. But this was an example of her, taking like the best of not. She was great at taking songs that music styles that were popular but also unique stuff as well, and kind of blending them into this beautiful little mashup,
Mm.
and just overall really really solid work again for somebody at that point who was in the public eye for close to 20 years at that point.
Right? She just, always had a way of reinventing herself.
Yep. Well, unless you have thoughts about the song Music, did you want to go on to your next one?
I would absolutely love to. My next one is Like a Virgin off the album Like a Virgin in 1984. And this really was one of the first songs that made me very attached to Madonna. It was one of the first sexy videos that maybe had been made, except in some hair metal. But in terms of like, it was music that really appealed to young girls, it felt like.
I think, if anything, Madonna shows she's a student of music by, making dance music more rock, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, the video is basically her writhing around on the floor in a classic Madonna outfit and singing like a virgin and sort of crawling around on the floor. Like that was, and I understand that's what she did at the concerts as well.
That's the thing with her videos, too. Like, the videos, a lot of times, are much more controversial than the songs themselves if you actually listen to them. It's like, yeah, would I want to hear like my like 12-year-old daughter singing that a guy that she met at school makes her feel like a virgin? No. But if we're talking about adults being the characters of that particular song, you can get behind the sentiment, right?
Sure.
But she was also no stranger to controversy as well. And I think the big thing, one of the big reasons I did throw her in terms of the rock category was that she did love to press buttons to get people to think. I mean, like, I think she is one of the people that did make it to where our generation was a little more comfortable talking about stuff like sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and not so uptight like that typical.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the PMRC, of course.
Yes. Now, this song, of course, too, did get the Weird Al Yankovic treatment, like a surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, at least he didn't do like a sturgeon.
Right. That would have been less interesting.
Yeah, but
Sturgeon don't really do anything except look like dinosaurs and hang out on the bottom of bodies of water.
well, I mean, look what SpongeBob SquarePants did. I mean, so
That's true.
yeah,
SpongeBob.
that's right, that's right. But any other thoughts about like a version?
No, how about we go on to your number 4?
No, my number
Your
three.
number 3. Okay.
Yes, yes, math people.
That's just counting. That's not even math.
Yeah,
That was
numbers,
just a counting error.
numbers. Yeah.
Numbers.
All right.
Numbers, yeah.
All right, my next one comes from the Like a Prayer album from 1989. Express Yourself. Great video, and I found out it was directed by the now legendary film director David Fincher.
Hmm.
Who directed such great movies as like The Game, Seven, uh, things like that. Just really, really great director. The whole album was her attempt at moving past the initial teen audience she gained when she first debuted.
I see.
Because yeah, I think you when you are a singer at that level,
Borderline, Lucky Star, like the album, the ones off Madonna, they were kind of poppier, and she was just very stylish.
yeah, like, and that's the thing with music. Like, I mean, like George Michael went through that. It's like George Michael realized that you can't do Wham for 30 years.
Right.
No, you have to be able to grow and expand, because Wham was targeting a very specific teen audience, and the teen audience is very fickle.
Oh, yeah.
It's if you look at any sort of a history of like boy bands or just bands that appeal to young people, you'll have people that come up and have meteoric rises, and then they will have meteoric falls as well. Which is why we're not talking about like the 30th or 40th anniversary of Tiffany or Debbie Gibson or something like that today.
But we are celebrating Britney Spears, Beyonce. Like, they're, I think, more superstars now.
But I think what they learned from Madonna was the importance of going beyond the initial type of music that made them famous and growing as artists.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Beyonce today releasing a country album is not the Beyonce that was in the 90s annoying the hell out of me at music stores with say my name, say my name. Oh, I hated that. And it was on loop. But this is actually a quote from Madonna about the Express Yourself song. The message of the song is that people should always say what it is they want. The reason relationships don't work is because they are afraid. That's been my problem in all my relationships. I'm sure people see me as an outspoken person, and for the most part, if I want something, I ask for it. But sometimes you feel that if you ask for too much or ask for the wrong thing from someone you care about, that person won't like you, and so you censor yourself. I've been guilty of that in every meaningful relationship I've ever had. The time I learn how not to edit myself will be the time I consider myself a complete adult. And just overall, the message of this song is just very, very positive, not only for, cishet white guys like me, but especially for women listening into that audience. I mean, think about how monumental this song was for our generation, encouraging women to, be with guys that will be able to, or women that will be able to talk about their feelings and stuff like that. Stuff we've talked about on the show before too, when we talk about mental health topics.
Hmm.
When you are in a serious relationship, there are times to where you have to, for lack of a better phrase, express yourself.
Hopefully, you're doing that all the time.
Yeah, hopefully. you know well, like she said, it can be hard, it can be hard, but that's I think the beauty of the message of this particular song too. So it's like, even with all the history of Madonna being controversial, I mean, there are times where she will come out with stuff like this that shows she has a real heartbeat on people, a real
Knowledge and
knowledge of people, and really wants to do the best with the platform that she's been given.
yeah. I think she did that. And then I think obviously something changed and she wasn't interested in that sort of fame life anymore. And she did a great job of disappearing, I thought. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. Do you have any thoughts on Express Yourself?
great, such a great message. And I definitely took it to heart when I was that age.
Yep. From 1989, the Lake of Prayer album.
Yeah.
One of her best.
Yeah, definitely. I was very into her then. I mean, I had just been into her the whole time she had been performing.
Yep. Well, how about you dive into your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is Holiday from 1983. This is such a great song. Like, I imagine if I was like a wedding DJ, putting this song on would be a great way to get people dancing, singing along, because it's such a happy, triumphant kind of song.
It's actually in the Adam Sandler movie, The Wedding Singer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but it's funny when they use this song. It's because The Wedding Singer, the premise is the guy who performs at weddings wants to get married himself, but then ends up getting dumped by the woman who loves him. So after he gets dumped, you see him at a wedding, and he's got like 5 o'clock shadow, and he's playing the guitar, and he's all sad, like, holiday, celebrate, all sad and everything.
That sounds very funny.
For an Adam Sandler movie, I'm not the first to say this. For an Adam Sandler movie, that has to probably rank up there with his best, because he wasn't playing the buffoon.
Yeah, it was a more serious role.
He played more of the straight guy role, which I liked. He let others really do the comedy, and I think that's because like a few years back, he actually did this uh, jewel heist drama that actually almost got him like Academy Award attention, but ultimately didn't get a nomination because he was Adam Sandler, the same guy doing the goofy comedies,
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that. But yeah, any other
Yeah.
thoughts on Holiday?
No, great song. Loved it.
All right. Do you want me to dive into my number 4?
Yeah, let's hear what your number 4 is all about.
All right, my number 4. This is probably the oldest one on my list, and kind of shocked I picked it amongst all the other choices I could have. It's from her True Blue album in 1986. It's Papa Don't Preach.
Nice.
While she did add some lyrics to the song, this song saw the least amount of writing contributions from her compared to the other songs that were on the album. My understanding is that she ended up just changing a couple of lines. Like, I was curious about that because, she was raised in a Catholic household, and with the theme of the song being what it was, I was definitely curious. The song had a lot of controversy at the time when it came out. Some claim it promoted teenage pregnancy, but you also had pro-life people that loved this song as well. On the one hand, I dig the song. The video was pretty good. On the other hand, this is one where I think maybe she walked a tightrope and maybe slipped a little. Because, on the surface, if the characters in this particular song are all adults, if the woman in question is a young woman, maybe like 21, maybe like a junior in college, but gets pregnant and decides to keep her baby, and she willingly decides to keep that baby, then great. But I think one of the big controversies that I read in the research that I did was that, people were pointing out that not all women have that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
And having a song that kind of celebrates the joys of a young woman deciding to keep a baby despite what the consequences may be is not necessarily good.
Yeah, it's seriously not good. Like that's what I thought the message of the song was, is that you have to stand up for yourself, and what it was more about the choice than it was the joy of having a baby. Like I don't think it had anything to do with the she wanted to have a baby. Like she doesn't bring that up in the song. So
Well, she says, "I'm keeping my baby."
no, I
That's
know she says
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to keep my baby, but she doesn't say because of the joy of parenthood I'm going to keep
yeah,
my
yeah,
baby.
yeah.
We don't know why she wants to keep her baby. We just know she wants to keep her baby. Ooh, ooh.
Wiggle, wiggle. In the research I did too, I did find I think what attracted her to the song was the fact that it was a young woman in the song that had a good relationship with her father, and she wanted to keep that relationship despite this, because as a father myself, like if I would be understandably, like if my daughter was like 20, well, my daughter is 21, and if she ended up having a baby right now, I would be happy, but it would be like, have you thought about this type of deal? And I think she wanted to.
Well, that's a little bit late to be having that
Well,
conversation.
okay, but you get my point. Always with the contrary opinion. But it's she wanted a song kind of celebrating basically how it's possible for a daughter to still have a meaningful relationship with her father, even when you make that first adult decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can get behind that now. Like I don't in the research I did, I didn't see too many comments from Madonna, up or down, talking about some of the controversy surrounding the song. So I think she mainly just put the song out, put the video out, and then, I mean, she'll still sing it in concert, of course, but didn't really talk about the aftermath. So in a way, I am sort of disappointed there too, because of like, yeah, for as much as I like it, it is problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because there are too many women out there that, one, don't have the luxury of, being able to make that choice because of, whatever reason. And also, too, if there are younger women that are listening that are 12 or 13, they may think that could be me too.
Right. And they might be like, that'd be bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a brought it up, in a bunch of households where it wouldn't have been brought up before. It was absolutely a topic of conversation or a topic of knowledge because, people who do not get talked to about relationships and sex have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, and we have Madonna to thank for people somewhat becoming a little more comfortable, talking about stuff like this.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it's like, for as problematic as the song and video is, at least it did start some conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the day, that should still be considered a win, a small win, but a win.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, how about you dive into your last choice?
Okay, here's my last choice. I'll tell you what it is. Here I'm going to tell you. It is Justify My Love, 1990. So this song came out when I was a junior in high school.
1990.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to high school with you, so
I
I
was
don't.
16, so I would have been a junior in high school.
Hmm.
And this was a new turn. This is a single, and I think it was the first single from the Immaculate Collection or whatever the album was called. That was the sexy Jean Paul Gaultier corset,
Yeah, the Immaculate.
pointy boobs.
This was the first album the song was on, the Immaculate Collection, which was her first greatest hits album. It was recorded during the time she was making the Like a Prayer album.
Gotcha. Yeah, so pretty early in her.
No, no, not Like a Prayer. So, yeah, Like a Prayer, 89, 89.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought I said Like a Virgin there for a second, but no, it was, yeah.
Like a prayer. Yeah.
But I've definitely spoken about this song before. I mean, I remember when it came out, MTV banned it, but you would, this is the hypocrisy and the stupidity of the media. You know, you would have Ted Koppel on Nightline like, hello, I'm Ted Koppel. We're going to talk about the controversy that is Madonna's video that is not being shown on MTV. But here it is now.
Because it's newsworthy.
Yeah. And also, I've mentioned it on the show before, but one of the co-writers of the song was Lenny Kravitz,
Oh.
and he wrote the song with another woman, and they ended up having an affair. This was when Lenny Kravitz was married to Lisa Bonet.
Uh-huh.
And
I remember this because everybody was like, who would do that?
Yeah.
Who would cheat on Lisa Bonet?
Yeah, that poor woman. But this did result in the Mama Said album afterwards, where he would write songs like "It Ain't Over Till It's Over." That one, all because of this particular song. Like, being that she released it as a single, like again, she has no qualms about using controversy to get attention.
Yeah.
And the song itself, I think, was pretty solid. I wouldn't call it one of my all-time favorites, but definitely one that I enjoy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a sexy song.
Damn right. Well, thank you, Lenny and Madonna. But how about I dive into my last one?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. I've talked about this before, and I couldn't not put this on the list again. Like a Prayer. From 1989, album of the same name. The last time we talked about this, we did forget to bring up one aspect of the video, and that was the fact that she was dancing in a very short dress with flaming crosses behind her.
Mm-hmm.
As we described in the video, it tells a story about Madonna witnessing a woman getting attacked and ultimately killed by a group of white guys. But the white guys escape, a black guy sees it and tries to help the woman, but then that's when the police comes. And Madonna's character has to make a decision to do the right thing, to tell the police that this guy, was innocent of what they claim he did or not. And there was definitely a lot of controversy about the flaming crosses. And to me, I think the people that were upset kind of missed the point, missed the symbolism of it, because I think what Madonna was trying to say at that point was if that character decided to keep her mouth shut, she would be glorified in the whole realm of white supremacy. She could be, the queen of it would be a continued celebration of white supremacy if she kept her mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's what that scene always spoke of. And again, this is another instance too, to where the video and the song itself are kind of don't exactly mesh, but they do. Because if you just take the lyrics and just the song, the audio song itself, like a prayer is talking about relationships, and it has nothing to do with the story that came with the video, but it still works and works amazingly well.
She teases it in the title. She gets everybody amped up on both sides of the issue.
Yeah.
And just goes boom.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Kapow.
Yes. Easily one of her very best songs. Like, again, for me, she's always going to be in the list of greatest hits artists, for our musicians that I like. But this has to be easily one of the best songs she ever made.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And the best video.
One of the best videos, yeah. I mean, but any other thoughts on our friend Madonna?
No, just if you're out there, if you're listening, Madonna, good job. Great life.
Yeah. You made it out of Michigan. Good for you.
Yeah, you made it out of Michigan, and you are fabulously wealthy now. So, congrats.
Damn right. Well, how about, speaking of fabulously wealthy, and I'm sure these people are just as fabulously wealthy as we are.
Okay.
Let's send it to some of our friends in the podcasting world so they can talk about their show.
Sounds great.
All right. Hang tight, people.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to Quad Pro Quo. Right now, you are probably thinking to yourself, oh great, another movie podcast. Well, dear listener, you would be right. But throw in a couple of marriages, decades-long friendships, and a shared property line, and you have just another movie podcast with a shitload of drama. Inspired by the iconic quid pro quo scene in Silence of the Lambs, each week one of us will pick a movie. It could be a childhood favorite, a classic film noir, an Academy Award winner, or a complete dumpster fire that brings joy to that person's heart. The selector's objective? To get us to love, or at the very least, not hate their pick. Will our marriages, our friendships, and our neighborhood survive? Find out each Thursday on Quad Pro Quo.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Before we wrap things up for the week, since we recently resubscribed to Netflix, we're diving back into the world of Glow.
Gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
Damn right. Now, I know you seem to really enjoy the show.
I love it.
Yeah. Why do you love it?
The characters. It's always the characters for any TV show. And the costumes are great. You know, it's an era thing from the 70s.
80s.
Really? The 80s?
80s, yeah.
Early 80s, at least?
Mid 80s.
Okay. Well, gosh, that's disappointing. It's great to see them progress from starting with no skill and then being able to do those wrestling moves, because they did the wrestling moves in the show.
Yeah. The wrestling trainer behind the scenes was Chavo Guerrero Jr. And the reason I bring that up is that I finally refound, it's on Pluto TV right now for free, but I found the documentary that inspired the show. The documentary about the original Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling TV show. And the reason I brought up the Chavo connection was that you learn in the documentary that his uncle, Mondo Guerrero, was the original trainer for the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling television show, which, you know, it was interesting to seeing the documentary and seeing like, okay, they used that in one of the episodes, they used that in one of the episodes. Because Mondo at one point talked about how there were women that were not taking it seriously when training was first beginning, and so he kindly applied on a sleeper hold and knocked out one of the ladies, and which sounds really, really harsh, people, and it's not something I would recommend, you know, happen anywhere else, but wrestling is not ballet. When you are in the ring, you are giving trust to the other person that they will treat your body as well as they would treat theirs, you know, because one wrong move, even with the most simplest move, you could get injured.
That's right. And accidents happen.
That they do. And you could end up in a wheelchair or worse for even, again, the most simplest of moves. So while it sounds really, really, really harsh that, you know, one of the women, you know, as in the TV show, they took that story and used it in the TV show, was given a sleeper hold and choked out. You know, for professional wrestling, I think it's important to understand the seriousness of what you're getting into if you want to step into the ring to be an athlete.
Yeah.
One thing the documentary also showed was honestly just how bad the original Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling television show was. Like I compared it like it's a mashup of professional wrestling and Hee Haw set in Vegas.
Exactly.
I mean, it really is. It's one of those. It's like while the show itself was bad, and whatnot, I feel it should still be remembered in a positive way, because this was the first time in America that women in the professional wrestling realm were given a chance to do something apart from being one of the attraction matches. This was an important stepping stone that ultimately led to the bigger companies, the WWE, WCW, and AEW now, giving women a chance. And do I think someone like Rhea Ripley would still be around today? I do, but the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling definitely helped.
Oh, absolutely. Groundbreaking.
Definitely groundbreaking in a lot of ways. I don't know if I would recommend watching any of the original shows because like you were zonking out when
Yeah.
you were watching that documentary, like, huh? you know?
Yeah, the TV show is better than the documentary, I'd say.
Yeah, but
Those things like I would prefer a drama of some historic period than reading War and Peace, for example. Like I'd rather watch the movie.
yeah. I get it. I get it. But if you get a chance, if you have Netflix, watch the Glow series. If you are able to find the documentary that inspired it, it's called Glow, the story of the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Definitely give that a watch too. They're both really good. The original show, not so much. Interesting enough, the guy who created the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling did end up creating another wrestling league that is still currently active called the Women of Wrestling.
Women?
The Women of Wrestling. Wow. He
Wow.
was always with those acronyms.
Uh-huh.
And it's co-owned by a woman by the name of Jeannie Buss, whose father used to own the Lakers. Now she's the head of the Lakers since her father passed away.
Oh.
And the Women of Wrestling actually have their own channel on Pluto TV. If you were at all interested, I know you're not, but I'm talking to our friends at home and everything like that. But good there. But let's talk about a little news here. Even though this episode is going to be released a couple of weeks after we record this, I think it's still going to be a timely matter. Mark Zuckerberg has decided that his company no longer needs to provide fact checking on posts that are on the Meta programs, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. And they're now going to be reverting to community guidelines or community profile or whatever, similar to what X uses. And look how well they do it over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
To where where we become the fact checkers. And, it's caused a lot of people to really consider whether they want to continue to invest their time in the Meta products.
Well, what's making me decide that I don't want to spend my time on Meta products is the fact that he was standing behind Trump at the inauguration. That's all it took for me. I mean, I had been thinking like this company is bad, this company is evil, they're going to have too much power, they're going to have too much information. But nothing like seeing him standing there was convincing enough.
Along with Elon Musk, along with Jeff Bezos, and like the big problem here is this, like when it comes to a social media company, it affects all of us really. The social media companies have become so ingrained in our culture that when you have a company that decides to latch on to the fascist teat that is currently in the White House, like that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how do you go forward with this, understanding that, what we once sort of trusted in terms of their fact checking capabilities are now going to be gone. And some random Yahoo is now going to be able to post a quote unquote correction or something like that just because they don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Think of all the political silencing that is now going to happen because of this. And it's a quagmire to be in. And like I've been really hesitant about my own social media usage over the past few years anyway. And there are reasons why I cannot stop using those products for legitimate reasons. But there are people like yourself that have no reason to stick to those products. And it would be nice to kind of pull away from them. But like, also, how do you throw your voice out there for stuff like what we do here for the show? Show promotion, even though it's like we're only one very small voice in a sea of a multitude of voices that are out there promoting their own works as well. It's like it is one easier tool than making up posters, putting hanging up on the light poles, handing out stuff, and stuff like that. And like the next 4 years are definitely going to be quite interesting, to say the least. And if we ever get back to a point to where we get adults in charge again, I think we have to start talking about regulating the social media industry. I mean, that has to begin. It should have happened already, but now, at least for 4 years, it's not going to happen because they're all going to be gluttonous pigs taking as much money as they can, especially that, Jeff Bezos, whose head looks like the end of a used condom.
Yeah, it's all really bad. So, this is going to come out 2 or 3 weeks from now, and I assume everything's just going to get worse and worse. But it's been pretty bad already.
Pretty bad already. It's like you and I are only probably going to feel the brunt of everything that's going to happen the next 4 years, thanks to this guy on the economic side, in terms of directly feeling the impact of these mistakes. Right? I mean, there are people that are already going to be suffering. They're already suffering far worse.
Oh, God, yeah, people with cancer.
Yeah, but
Federal employees.
But it's like they're making so many bonehead, stupid decisions already that we can only hope that November 2026 shows up really fast.
Yeah.
Because if they continue to make these boneheaded choice after boneheaded choice, it's going to blow up in their face. And we just have to hope that democracy can hold on. It's like I said. It's like I said when the election happened. I want, at the end of the 4 years, I want to be able to say, okay, I overreacted in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to say that, and there are some things that make me think that I will get to a point to say that. Because like Mango Mussolini thinking you can just write an executive order overriding a constitutional amendment. No, that's not exactly how it works, right?
Right.
So it's like there will be some guardrails in place, but like, who knows? And the fact that you have people that are the arbiters of truth going out there that don't feel they have to be the arbiters of truth anymore, it's going to be scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It really is the darkest days I've seen.
Yeah, because you want to stay informed, but I don't trust the media anymore. Like the Washington Post, I would never buy that again. It's not like it's not like I say.
There's no newspaper that's like, oh, I feel like they're giving me the real news.
Exactly. And because of the corporate interest involved and Jeff Bezos put the thumb on a scale for this election.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk did the same thing. Zuckerberg is now doing it to help the next 4 years for this guy. And, we got to fight. If you have the ability to break away from social media, do that. I mean, that's the best thing you can do. There are some social media sites out there that are, I'm hesitant to call them good, because, like Blue Sky, for instance, is run by essentially the team that used to run Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And look how well that went, right? I mean, that was already a shit show before Elon Musk got involved working there. So it's like, how much do I trust that, any sort of activity I put on there is going to be worth it? Interesting times.
Definitely.
All right. Any other thoughts?
No, I just, let's hope things get better.
Yeah. And that things don't get too worse before they get better, but it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Yep.
All right. Each Monday, we'll have something in this podcast space to entertain your ear holes. Until we meet again, we bid you adieu.
So long.
Like a virgin. Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy
on YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Goodbye, darling.